Hey everyone, what's up? Today I want to take a look at a MIDI controller that has kind of been long and forgotten. I got this MIDI controller a couple of years ago, and there's a couple of reviews on this controller on YouTube, but I think there deserves to be one more. Because this controller, while there are other controllers that do pretty much the same thing, the form factor for this controller is really what I like. And I think this controller could be something that the form factor of it could be taken and be made into an even better controller, maybe by the same company, but I think by a different company overall. And that is the OffGrid by Birdkids. So let's take a look at what this controller can do and why I think we need to bring back this form factor.
All right, so we have the Off-Grid by Birdkids here. I do have it plugged in. It does have the ability to be Bluetooth, but it's just not my favorite to have a MIDI controller be Bluetooth. But I mean, we're not going to be testing any of the sounds really in this. We're just kind of just going over the features. So for this, I do like the design. That's probably my favorite thing with it because it is pretty small. Like, this is a Game Boy Advanced right here. It's a little bit smaller than that. And this is pretty easy to fit into your pocket. So you could easily fit this in your pocket and a book bag and then pull it out whenever you need to make a beat. Like I said, you can use Bluetooth with it. I just have it plugged in because I don't like latency, but if I was going to be able to make it beat on the go, Bluetooth is handy. This cable is their cable, and that's the only cable you can use to charge or plug this into another device. You have to have an adapter to plug it into a computer or to any other charger that isn't going to be compatible with just a basic USB. So that's a bit of a downside. But when it comes to using the controller, the pads, they do light up, which is very nice. And it's very easy to push and tap the pads. Like they're not very firm. So like I just a little gentle tap gets it to light up. Like I'm barely pushing it here and they're lighting up. So that's a huge plus for me because I don't have to worry about smashing them. I have a previous video on the M-Wave controller, and those ones I had to smash to feel like I was getting them to light up. So the way that these interact are super nice. We do have a speaker on the back because you can play a couple of like the sounds are very 8-bit like. So you can play some sounds with it, but it's not anything that's like high quality. You're going to sound good. It's just really if you need to kind of like work on a melody on the go, I'd say. But when it comes to playing beats, of course, like just plug it in and play. But if you wanted to work on doing like scales or looking at different modes, there are ways you can do that. So if we hold down this button here, we can actually cycle through a couple of different modes. I'm going to hold this and I'm going to click this, and we can see what kind of scale or key we're in by which notes are lit up. This is just the basic major scale, but if I tap, we can cycle through those. Eventually, we'll get to one that I believe is going to be a chromatic scale where all of them are lit up. But we're already back to this one. Here we're able to see all the ones lit up. Do some cool little color shows with it. So there are some cool little fun things programmed into this controller that you can play around with. One thing that is unique to this controller is that you can tilt it. You can map this controller to tilting to where if you went like this or you went like this or this, it would trigger an effect in your DAW. Not something I use a lot for performing, but if I wanted to do like a quick tape scratch or tape stop, that would be nice to be able to say, go like this, and then the track slows down or speeds up. Would be kind of cool. Now I could also map that to this joystick right here, which this is a nice joystick. It doesn't like protrude really from the top, so it's not going to get damaged by throwing it in a backpack or throwing it around. But I just don't know, like, if I move it this way, am I going to be triggering just the X axis or am I also triggering the Y? It's hard to sometimes know which one you're going to be triggering. So I tend to kind of stay away from using this one. I would have rather, instead of them having a tilt or this little joystick right here, I would have rather maybe put in a couple more of these buttons to navigate around or have some different combinations of how we could use the controller with some different buttons here. Or put in a bigger battery, take out the speaker and put in a bigger battery and have this be something that I need to plug into a phone or a tablet or a computer to 100% use. Or put in a way where I could record beats directly to this and then export them through the USB-C port to like my computer or to a flash drive. That also would have been cool too. And I didn't go over this, but these buttons right here, these are just the octave ups and downs. But again, we're not really using this for synths, but if you have this plugged into a DAW, you can kind of play those notes here on the beat pad and move up or down with that as you need to go. So that's a pretty basic overview of this controller. Again, my favorite thing is the form factor of it. I'm not a fan really of having to use their cable for everything and the joystick. And this speaker doesn't seem like it's really the best thing for it. But again, this controller is like 3 or 4 years old. And it's still a controller that I take with me on the go when I just want to plug in and make a beat, just because I love these pads. They're not circle, they're round, but they're still very easy to play and very easy, I'd say, for like lo-fi beats because you don't have to push it. You can just gently tap them. And I feel like the energy you want to have for your beats is very easily able to be translated over from how you're playing it and into the song.
So the OffGrid by Birdkids has some cool features to it. I'm not gonna lie, I do like some of the features that are in this MIDI controller. And it's a drum pad that can play notes, it has that speaker, but overall, like, it's good because of how easy it is to fit in my pocket, and B, the buttons are really nice. I really like how these buttons push and how they feel, and they feel like they're more powerful than the M-Wave controller that I've reviewed in the past. Now the M-Wave controller, those buttons are a little bit bigger, but I feel like I had to push so hard on those buttons for it to feel like it was actually triggering a sample or a sound. And these, I don't have to push that hard, and if I do want to push that hard, it doesn't feel like my fingers are going to break against pushing on those buttons. Like there's a little bit of give, which I really like. And the fact that they're smaller, I think just makes it easier and maybe encourages you to like maybe play a little bit faster or be able to move around on the pads a little bit easier too. But that's just like a unique take from me. And there are other controllers I think that are great beat pads too. For example, the MIDifier 3D, this is one of my favorite MIDI controllers. And I like it a lot because it has that retro arcade style and you're able to kind of feel like you're playing a video game while you're playing it, which I also did a review for it here too. But overall, the features that are in the OffGrid by Birdkids aren't new. There's nothing there that's like super surprising. It's really just the form factor that has me sold on it. And I think if you're a beat maker, you probably really like this too. The fact that you can put a pad easily in your pocket and go. And it's not like a square, so it doesn't feel kind of like out of shape or it's hard to put in your pocket. You probably have to put the M-Wave in your back pocket. But because it's a rectangle, it's easy just to slip in your pocket and say, let's go. And that's it. So for me, the design of the OffGrid is what's selling me. So what's going to happen in the future? What's the future of MIDI controllers? Well, ideally, I'd like to see us return to this form factor of more of a rectangle. And I like the beat pad that they have in the OffGrid with the buttons. I'm not necessarily a fan of the squares, but I understand why we do the squares. Mostly, I'm a fan of how these buttons feel on the OffGrid. But I'd like to see us return to this form factor where I can easily pull it out of my pocket, put it in my pocket, and go. So that's probably the biggest reason why I've held on to the OffGrid for so long, why I like it, and why it's still in my travel companion kit whenever I travel anywhere. But what do you guys think? Did you like the features that the OffGrid has? Are you a fan of the form factor? And for a MIDI controller that you want to travel with, is this something you're interested in? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.